Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the posts, giving you my own opinion, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for borrowing from my brother's inheritance to start my business when it was supposed to be for his care? My parents passed a few years back, left money split between me, 32 female, and my brother Mark, 30 male. Mark has significant physical disabilities and needs ongoing care, special equipment, the works. It wasn't written down maybe, but everyone knew his share was for his long-term care. My share was just mine. I had this business idea I was passionate about. Solid plan, looked really good on paper, but starting costs were steep. My share wasn't quite enough to launch it properly. I needed more capital. So I dipped into Mark's fund. Not all of it, not even half. I told myself it was an investment, a loan. If the business took off, I'd pay it back with interest. Mark's future would be more secure. That was the plan. I mentioned something vague to my aunt, who helps Mark day to day, about moving funds for an investment that would benefit Mark long term. Maybe I wasn't totally clear about the source? Things were hazy, it was stressful. She didn't really push back then, seemed distracted. Well, the business hasn't worked out like I thought. Supplier problems, market changed. Just bad luck. It's not totally failed, but it's struggling, losing money. Now Mark urgently needs a new piece of equipment. Life-changing, important kind of urgent. And the money I borrowed? Well, it's stuck, tied up in the business. I can't just pull it out without killing the whole thing, which seems pointless now. My aunt found out exactly how much was gone and where it went. She absolutely lost it. Screaming I stole from my disabled brother, put his future at risk. Mark knows too now. He doesn't get the business stuff, but he knows the money for his new chair isn't there. He just looks crushed. It feels awful, it really does. He just kept stirring his coffee while my aunt yelled. Wouldn't even look at me. The family is furious, talking about lawyers to try and get assets from the business. My defense, which no one was hearing, is that my intention was good. I wasn't trying to screw him over, I was trying to build something for both of us. It was a calculated risk. They don't always pay off right away. If it had worked, I'd be praised right now. It feels so unfair. Liquidating now destroys everything, including the chance to ever pay it back. So, am I the asshole? Update, reading some comments. Wow. Okay, first, the equipment Mark needs now, yes, it sounds important, but the therapists are calling it a quality of life improvement, not exactly life or death. The timing, with the business finally showing maybe a tiny flicker of hope, just makes pulling funds impossible right now. Second, about liquidating, people keep saying just give the money back. It's not that simple. Liquidating now means admitting total defeat on the business, making all my stress and sacrifice for the last year totally pointless. It feels like throwing away the only chance to maybe fix this long term and prove the idea wasn't just crazy. It feels like everyone wants me to fail twice. No, dude, everyone just wants your brother to get the care that he was entitled to, using the money that you stole for a failing business. Like, I'm hoping this is rage bait. Like, it feels like perfectly crafted rage bait, especially with the line of, like, calling it a quality of life improvement, not exactly life or death. But there are also factors of this where they're a little bit too real, and it personally hits close to home to things that I've experienced, to where even if this is rage bait, it's a great learning experience for things to look out for. One of those being someone justifying their shitty actions that they know is objectively wrong by trying to find ways to make it sound better. As an example, I wasn't stealing the money, I was borrowing it to reinvest it into our future. I plan on paying it back with interest. See, really, Mark should be thanking me because his future's more secure now. Like, you still took the money under false pretenses and misled your aunt as to it being an investment and not what it really was, because you essentially used his medical treatment money as a launch pad for your business idea. And now he needs that money for a quality of life improvement, which you're extremely dismissive of because it's not life or death. My brother having a better quality of life? Not essential. Me burning his inheritance money on my business idea? Essential. I can't just liquidate it now, then I'd be giving up. OP, if I were you in this situation, I would liquidate your shit before lawyers get involved, because they will have a field day. Especially with this Reddit post that admits culpability. Like, assuming this isn't rage-based and just taking it at face value real quick, you gotta liquidate your shit. Because if they take you to court and you lose, not only are you on the hook for paying back the money that you lost and stole from your brother, but you're also on hook for the lawyers. And trust me, that is a cost you are not ready to incur. Posted originally to r/relationship advice. My girlfriend, 27, got angry at me, 33 male, for having a food coma. My, 27 female, girlfriend and I, 33 male, were planning on going to a national park together. Before she arrived, I had a large lunch with a friend and felt super sluggish with a food coma. I told her I might need her to drive at first, or that I need to nap for a few minutes. She got noticeably upset, saying things like, "You invited me," and "I told you this would happen." I then got frustrated and started asking why she couldn't be more flexible. She was extremely upset at one point, saying she drove all the way, and so I suggested we not go on the trip. She then took her belongings and drove back home. I tried calling her 3 times, but she didn't pick up once. She just wrote me texts saying she can't talk now and how upset and hurt she is. In her mind, it's like I rejected her or something. I mean, you kinda did. She then proposed meeting to talk in person instead, but it'll be 5 days since the event. This isn't the first time something small has triggered a strong reaction followed by emotional withdrawal. Is this normal relationship conflict or a bigger red flag? Okay, so you made plans with your girlfriend. By the sounds of it, your girlfriend preemptively warned you that exactly what happened would happen. You did it anyways. You ruined the plans that you invited her to. You very quickly jumped to either canceling them or she do all the heavy lifting. She was fed up with your shit, went home. Then you post on Reddit saying, "This isn't the first time something small has triggered a strong reaction followed by emotional withdrawal. Is this normal relationship conflict or a bigger red flag?" Buddy, it sounds like you've been building a Tower of Babel's bullshit and it's just begging to be knocked down. And it sounds like she's having a hard time tolerating how tall the tower is getting. And you have the audacity to ask if she's the red flag in this. Originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for walking out of the hospital after hearing my wife's diagnosis? I, 33, got a call from the ER on Friday saying that my wife, 32, drove herself there because of severe pelvic pain. I'm on a business trip until Saturday, but I drive back in time to be there Sunday morning before she woke up. A while after she wakes up, the doctor comes in. My wife says to stay with her, so I say okay. He takes a deep breath and said that from the transvaginal ultrasound and CT scan results, she has ovarian cancer. My wife starts sobbing, but at first, I stay still because I don't even know what to make of it. My wife asks what that means for her, and he says that she'll likely at least need a full hysterectomy. And then they'll have to remove the fallopian tubes as well as the ovaries. That news jolted me from my chair, because the doctor was effectively telling me that she wouldn't be able to have kids after this, and after years of work, I thought we'd finally have a family. I'm overwhelmed with emotions of anger, not just anger at the disease, but pent-up anger from the fact that I had begged her to have kids since we were 26, but she refused for her career. And now, instead of becoming a real family, I don't even know if she would remain the woman I married, whether the last picture of us together would be the last time I'd remember her looking beautiful, young, and carefree. Because the wife I had in front of me was already a different person. My wife started to grab my hand and say, "We'll fight this and we'll adopt." But I shook my head and turned to walk out the door. I still had my suitcase in the car, so I drove to a hotel because I didn't know if my wife was going to end up being discharged or what. At the hotel, I was at least able to get out of reactive mode, but I was still so disappointed that our dream of a family was over. I finally was able to get a grasp on all of my emotions and feel more like myself in that I knew exactly what I felt about every aspect and how I would react to it from here on out. I get a call from my mother-in-law saying that if I was at a hotel or whatever else, I should just stay there. Am I the asshole for walking out? I admit it was done on impulse, but this diagnosis just sliced my life and my wife's life wide open. I wasn't going to expel the cancer if I stayed that night, but I did at least make myself aware of my situation, and I feel I have a right to be angry that my hope of biological kids, the only kind I ever wanted, is rapidly fading away. Yeah, dude, I'm so happy you're aware of your situation in life, dude. That's awesome. What about your wife who just got diagnosed with cancer that you walked out on, though? What about her situation? Like, I'm really glad that you're aware of what you're going through, but what about her? The fact that you even have to ask if you're the asshole here, man. It was actually from this post, and I did some research to confirm this, that I learned that when someone is diagnosed with cancer, it's pretty common for the cancer diagnosee to receive a pamphlet on how to cope with the loss of their spouse divorcing them because of their diagnosis. I felt like that was true, but I didn't want to believe it. So I looked into it. And yeah, it is, apparently. And it's also telling of what kind of person your wife was when the news broke. Her first instinct was to comfort you. By your own admission, you were unfazed with her cancer diagnosis, but the moment you found out that your wife wasn't a baby-making machine anymore, it's off apparently. That news was so jarring to you that it jolted you out of your chair. Just because ovarian cancer has less than a 1% fatality rate doesn't make it not a big deal. But yeah, I'm really glad how did you put it again? Right. I wasn't going to expel the cancer if I stayed that night, but I did at least make myself aware of my situation. Nice, dude. Originally posted to r/pettyrevenge. I held the door for an entitled douche, so I dropped it when his girl was walking exited too. A quick short story. I was exiting McDonald's and held the door because my relatives were also exiting. Noticed someone else was going to exit, so I held it for a brief moment. This entitled dude didn't even bat an eye or even said thank you, but just walked with an entitled demeanor, hands inside pocket and all that. Before I get to drop the door on him, he had already walked past me. But his girlfriend, who is glued to her phone, was literally behind him, so I dropped the door and slammed on her. She dropped her phone and yelled at him, "You didn't hold the door!" I stared as he tried to help his girl. Sorry for the girl had to experience that, but I had to make the dude feel hurt, even just a little. Oh, big man over here. Oh boy. So I was really curious about how the comments on r/pettyrevenge looked, because I was getting some soft incel vibes from this one. And a lot of them are in support of this behavior, which is odd. But one of the top comments that stood out to me, no better way to show he's no gentleman than to point out that he can't even hold the door for his lady. Masterfully done! Like, to summarize what happened here, dude held the door open for his relatives, a guy walked through, didn't say thank you, which, yeah, sure, kind of rude, but at the same time, I hold the door open for people at a time and people rarely thank me. It's just a kind thing to do. No quid pro quo required. But after he holds the door open for the guy, he decides, oh, you're not going to say thank you? Well, I'm just going to slam the door on this innocent fucking bystander who's on her phone. Yeah, that'll show him. Like, I don't know if I'd say that Buddy's a devil here, but he's definitely a poor-mannered asshole. That's for damn sure. And like, by the way, I'm totally okay with you making the argument like, yeah, it would have been polite if they said thank you. Sure, 100%. But causing physical harm to someone and then mocking them about it afterwards because someone else didn't say thank you? Buddy, friend, pal. What hole did you crawl out of? And because I do see comments defending OP's actions where it's like, I feel like people are disregarding what sub they're on. These are stories about being petty. Laughing cry emoji. Yeah, it's about being petty, as in something happened to you that's justifiably upsetting, but you get revenge in an incredibly petty way. Not just being an asshole and harming an innocent bystander. Originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for asking my daughter to make more of an effort to get along with her father? Context posted 5 years ago. Due to certain worldwide events, my daughter has moved back home and is causing problems between her and her father. The most reoccurring issue is that my daughter won't get out of bed some days. She has an invisible chronic illness that causes pain and fatigue. But my husband was raised with the belief that if you can't see it, it doesn't exist. Nevertheless, he believes our daughter when she says she's received a diagnosis. However, since moving back home, my daughter will spend a day every week or two in bed, only getting out for food or to use the bathroom. This irritates my husband because it looks like she's not trying to manage her illness. He'll explain that in his perspective, she's coming across as lazy, and she'll start an argument with him over it. This happens every time she stays in bed all day. My daughter stayed in bed again today. After their argument this morning, my husband has been in a bad mood, so I talked to my daughter about it. I told her that I understand she's sick and in pain, and that I feel for her, but it would mean a lot to her father if she could try to show him she's making an effort on days like today. She doesn't have to do a lot, but even just spending a few hours out of bed would help. We have a small home gym in our basement, so if she was feeling up to it, she could even walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes, just to show she's trying. She was incredibly rude to me and even said she can't wait until she can move out again. I think what she said was uncalled for, and I know her father agrees, but when I asked her brother for his opinion, he wouldn't give me a straight answer. In my experience, that usually means he agrees with his sister but doesn't want to admit it. That made me wonder if I was in the wrong for bringing it up to her, since it's really an issue that doesn't involve me. Am I the asshole? Edit. Everyone keeps focusing on the treadmill, so I just want to clarify that I only wanted her to walk a bit if she started to feel up to it. I obviously don't want her to try and run a marathon if she's in pain. Edit 2. A few people are accusing me of being afraid of my husband or asking if he's abusive. He's absolutely not. He's a wonderful man and he treats his family very well. We're just struggling to adjust to our daughter's illness. Care to clarify what that illness is? Edit 3. A lot of people are asking about her only being in bed one day out of every week or two. That's normal for her, but every so often she'll spend 2 or 3 days a week in bed, usually back to back. I still don't want to say what she's diagnosed with, but her pain levels depend on other factors that are out of her control. Edit 4. Again, my husband isn't abusive. I'm not abusive. No one is abusing my daughter. Nothing about our situation is abusive. I'd appreciate it if people stopped accusing me and my husband of abuse. Edit 5. You're all accusing me and my husband of abuse, yet have no issues messaging me to verbally abuse me. Maybe you should think about that. I do actually agree with Edit 5. If you do disagree with someone, do not DM them to harass them or verbally abuse them. Be better than them. Now, a takeaway that I have here, and I can understand not wanting to share details on your daughter's diagnosis to try to keep it a private affair, but at the same time, that is kind of the crux of the argument here, is that she has an invisible illness, a diagnosis, and depending on what that diagnosis is, it could drastically change how you're being viewed, from being a misunderstanding, asshole-ish parent to a complete fucking monster who's abusive. Now, granted, of course, that is a spectrum of results, but I feel like no matter what in this scenario, your daughter is an adult. She has a chronic illness. She stays in bed to keep pressure off of her body because when she overexerts herself, I'm guessing it probably shuts her down further. I'm guessing that her being in bed for 2 to 3 days at a time is not her being lazy, but it's probably her dealing with severe pain. And getting up and moving isn't an option. And I'm probably willing to guess is that she's told you that. She's explained that the amount that she moves around is probably to her limits. So getting on a treadmill for 10 minutes, that's only going to probably make things worse. But you're more focused on your husband's happiness than your daughter's well-being. And that's why people are probably harping on you the way they are. Okay, so I decided to browse the comments a bit to see if maybe I was off basis and I fucked something up. But I stumbled upon this gem here. A comment from the daughter. Hi mom, since you're refusing to speak to me, I guess I'll comment here and hope you see it. You know, I was kind of surprised when I got a text from a friend today that said, I think your mom made a Reddit post about you. And a link to whatever this is. I'm more surprised that I didn't find it myself since all I've been doing is lazily lazing about on my phone all day being lazy. What surprises me the most, though, is that you really actually thought that anyone except Dad would think you're in the right here. I've been going through some of your responses, and I'm so glad people are calling you out on your bullshit. You're being understanding, you're offering suggestions to manage my symptoms. You told me stage 3 endometriosis was just bad period cramps, and that life goes on, women have to go through this once a month. I have bad cramps too, get used to it. Your suggestions are eating healthy and drinking more water, which, shockingly, is not going to help unplug my organs or help with the internal bleeding. Sure, I was rude. If rude means I told you that I'd happily take advice from you once you learned how to pronounce endometriosis. And no, what's-it-its is not close enough. Or advice from dad when he grows a uterus. However, I'm actually really pleased to see that you're telling people that it can be about both of us. Because the last time you brought it up, you told me it was all about you and that I needed to be more sensitive to how you felt. So, this is progress, I guess. You're the asshole, and I can't fucking wait to move out again. So, I decided to do something that OP probably never did, and Google her daughter's diagnosis. Especially stage 3. Good fucking God. At stage 4, it looks like this becomes literal hell on earth, but yeah. If OP's daughter explained this to her, and she never even bothered to even look into this a little bit, OP is... There's no wiggle room here. Like, that's it. She's cooked. Originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole relationships. Am I the asshole? Help. I, 30 male, am married to a woman, 31 female, and we have 2 kids, 3 and 1. I have long adored my wife for her traditional values, driven personality, and overall intelligence. I was raised to be hardworking. My parents are blue-collar people. And my wife's are exactly opposite. Her dad worked as an insurance executive, and her mom was a homemaker. Fast forward 28 years, and we're married, have a kid, and a lovely home. My wife is a full-time SLP, speech therapist, in a school district. With our new addition to the family, my wife wants to be a stay-at-home mom, which is fine, since I make plenty of money alone. Fast forward a little more, and now we have 2 kids. I make a lot more money, and my wife decides to launch a private practice to keep up with her skill set and training for when she eventually goes back to work when kids are both school-aged. I fully support her, but things are slowly starting to fester. Now I need to know, am I the asshole? When we decided my wife would stop working, it was agreed that I would focus fully on work and being extra available on weekends for my wife and kids. When my wife decided to start a private practice, I was on board. I didn't think she would have as much success as she did, but hey, good for her for gathering a good client base and billing consistent hours. But now I am expected to be home from work around 4 so my wife can see 2 to 3 clients every night. Usually she wraps up around 5:30 to 6-ish. Once we have dinner and get kids to bed, she goes back to her work to prep for the next day, and I'm responsible for keeping an eye on the baby monitor and whatnot. So I'm free to relax, but still always have to be ready in case a kid needs me. Here's where I need help. I'm starting to resent my wife because she's always busy and never has time for us. Moreover, I never get time to do anything for myself because my wife eats up our nights. Weekends are solid, but they don't really feel enjoyable because my wife is burnt out after a full week and so am I. But she wants me to be very hands-on with kids since she would stay at home momming all week. Today we got in a fight because I told my wife I felt like I didn't have time to get anything done that I wanted to. She said that she doesn't get any free time. To that, I said that in my opinion, her full-time job is watching kids, and her private practice is her personal/free time. She vehemently disagreed with me, stating that it is also her work. I understand that perspective, but per our agreement, that was going to be her full-time job. In my opinion, this wouldn't be different than me wanting to golf bowl/fill in the blank every day, weekday, for 2 hours after work, and then also from 9 to 11 at night. Am I wrong here? Please, honest answers. Maybe I'm missing the point. Am I the asshole? Honestly, until those last 2 lines, I was more leading on the lines of it sounds like you two just need couples therapy or couples counseling and to just work through your problems, because it sounds like there's a mix of expectations and desires and what you guys want from this relationship and an uneven distribution of work. The uneven distribution being on your wife, as in she's doing more than you. There were a few comments that I was initially willing to, temporarily overlook but still bring up as being a problem. One of those being just the side comment made, I didn't think she would have as much success as she did, But hey, good for her for gathering a good client base and billing consistent hours. That sentence rubbed me the wrong way, but I was kind of willing to just overlook it at first. And then the final paragraph hit, and you compared her job and her continuing her practice as being akin to golf and bowling. Buddy, she's working 2 jobs. She's a stay-at-home mom and she's got her own practice running. Now, you two can 100% argue about the distribution of responsibilities and what's best for both of you as well as your family, and potentially go to therapy, but I am really not a fan of you referring to her second job as her free time. Now, there is also a personal part of me that wonders if OP is more expecting of having a traditional style wife, someone who stays at home and falls under the trad wife category, hence the initial comment of, I have long adored my wife for her traditional values, but that's just me probably picking up things that more align with my biases here. I do 100% think they both need to go to therapy, and I'm certainly more inclined to side with the wife on this because it sounds like she has far more on her plate here, and I'm sure that someone could probably make the argument the wife bit off more than she could chew, but I'm not making that argument personally. I'd be interested to hear everyone's opinions in the comments, and all I ask is that you be respectful and we have a civil conversation about this. I do try to read every comment, and this includes the ones that aren't so civil towards me. Also, as just a general note towards YouTube, I don't delete comments, YouTube does. I have only ever deleted one user from this channel, and that's because of a few comments they made towards my partner's miscarriage. Other than that, even if a comment is hypercritical towards me, I let it be, because I do stand by what I say that I enjoy fostering a conversation in the comments section, and that no opinion is a monolith, and I am prone to make mistakes, and I encourage you all to call me out on that, just to be respectful on it. Anyways, give me your thoughts in the comments below. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code OZ at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.